Welcome to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast, where we help creatives build wealth. I'm one of your hosts, Darren.
I'm Austin.
I'm Trev.
I'm Ray.
And we're here to party.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're all part of a video production company that over the past 5 years has built into multi-six figures. And we're here to encourage you and give you value as a creative, either wanting to step into full-time entrepreneurship or currently a full-time solopreneur or small production company wanting to grow and scale.
Yeah.
We'd love it if you'd give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss when a new video drops.
Make sure you go follow us on Instagram at the Glory Boys Pod, and for our business account at Glory Visuals. Let's get right into it.
Dude, let me tell you guys about this ad that I heard on Spotify this morning.
Sick.
I pulled up a podcast that I always listen to every single morning.
Yeah.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, actually. And
Dang.
just out of nowhere, so Spotify drops like pre-episode ads now sometimes that have nothing to do with the actual podcast.
Uh-huh.
And okay, let me set the scene here. I just got gas. It's still a little bit dark outside. The sun's just starting to come up. So I'm hitting the road about 6:35, 6:40. And this ad comes on. I have the volume in my car turned up really high because once I get to the interstate and like the hum of the road and my heater and stuff, like I just need it.
You got to hear your pod.
Yeah, I got to hear my pod.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of the scene. The radio's turned up. The volume is turned up.
Suspense.
This
is building.
ad starts, and it's just a woman whispering. And the first word she says is, "Let's play a game."
Oh my
Yo,
God.
Literally out loud.
That's disgusting.
Out loud, I said, "This is creepy." I turned around to look in my seats, like I didn't know
Somebody
what
was
was
there.
Were
happening.
you driving?
I was driving. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was pulling out of the gas station, and I just hear, "Let's play a game."
Oh my
What
I
it
hate
ended up
it.
being, the whole commercial was her whispering and then sounds. The game we were supposed to be playing was Guess This Sound, and it was a sports clip commercial about like ASMR and
Dang.
like a relaxing haircut experience. And
Yikes.
let me tell you, it was not relaxing. It stressed me out.
Jeez.
The
Yeah.
whole commercial was creepy.
The only time I've ever heard that is,
Want to play a game?
Yeah,
And I-
did you all come
and
out
I
in the
hate
background or
those.
what?
Exactly.
Like the girl from The Ring just like hopped in your back seat while you're
Yes.
pumping gas.
Oh. The other part is they I don't know how you do this. Maybe audio engineering or something, but it was one of those where the sound
pans.
flips
Yeah.
from side to side.
That's so
Every
so they were
noise.
trying to like do the whole like,
yeah, like the stereo. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, good thing you weren't wearing headphones or anything or AirPods or anything,
Oh
because then
my
it would have been
gosh,
like
dude.
in your head the whole time.
I would have pooped my pants.
yeah, I don't like that.
Literally,
Dang.
it caught me off guard. So anyway,
That's probably the point. It's probably like,
Maybe.
you know,
That's
Yeah.
probably really effective.
yeah.
okay,
I
let's
mean, I
make an
won't
ad.
forget it.
They'll be definitely drawn in the first 0.5 seconds of this
Yeah.
ad.
I won't forget
Or
it.
they'll be freaked out for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will not forget it. It scared me. I didn't know what was going on.
Wait, hold on. Maybe people listen more if want to listen to a podcast. Listen to this podcast. That made you want to listen, right?
People love it.
That's effective marketing right there,
Yep.
according to Sports Clips or whatever you were listening.
Yeah, I think it was sports clips. I
Yeah.
think sports clips.
It sounds like something they would do for
It
sure.
does. Yeah.
Super.
It
Just
caught me off guard. I've never heard the ad before.
You're welcome for the free promotion, by the way.
It was loud.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's true.
no free ads.
Yeah,
I've
shouts out
never-
Sports
I
Clips.
know. I got one haircut at Sports Clips once ever, and it was the worst haircut I ever had. And I asked the girl, I'm like, "Can you do fades?" And she's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Of
this
course
is
I
a
can do fade.
this is a bad deal." And so I
This is
sat
not
down.
where I
She
want to
starts
be.
cutting it up, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's like shorter here, and then
Yeah.
it tapers and gets longer." And they have no idea. They don't
Dang.
even use a freaking. They just use scissors. They don't even know how to use a razor. And maybe they've gotten like cooler and hipper. This was like
10 years ago.
7 years ago, but it's just not. I'm not a fan.
My cousin went one time to Sports Clips too.
Yeah.
And he was like probably like 12, 13 maybe-ish.
Mhm.
And it was his first time like getting like an official haircut, like before his mom was like, trim it here and there.
Sure.
Bro, he asked this guy to cut his hair, and the guy starts cutting, and he cuts everything off. Not at all what my cousin asked for. And my cousin like just sees his hair going away. Bro, he just starts bawling his eyes out.
Oh man.
And his mom doesn't speak a lot of English, right? At the time. And,
Yeah.
And she's like standing there like, what do I do?
Dang.
Like,
Oh,
what the heck do
no.
I? So I'm standing there, right? I'm probably like a little bit older, like maybe 15, 16. I'm just like, bro, that's not what he wanted. And he's like, and then my cousin just full blown crying at this point. And the guy's like, it's okay, sweetie. It's okay.
Oh, no.
It's okay. And I'm like,
No,
no, it's not okay.
No, it's not.
Just cut his
You
hair
just
off.
ruined that
You
kid's.
just bicked a little
7th
kid's
grade.
head.
Yeah.
Nobody, no little 7-year-old be walking around with a bicked head.
No, bro. It was so bad.
Oh, my
Bicked?
word.
Is that a term?
Yeah, bick.
What
It's
does
like,
that mean?
It's like bick razors, like bick it.
No, is that a thing?
It's a thing.
I always heard flick your bick because it was a lighter thing. Bick makes
What?
razors?
Yeah.
What about nared?
The more you know.
Be like a nared head, you know?
No, it's just bicked it, dude.
Okay. I've never heard the word bicked used in that verbiage.
It's probably because my dad used bick razors and that was a thing. That was what they called it. Like,
Huh.
hey, you're just gonna straight bick it. That's what my mom actually says. That's weird. It's weird that you carry things into your life
Huh.
and then
That
pass
is
them down.
weird.
Wow, I used to bick my hair and not even know it. All right, but Ray, before we go into today's episode, Trev, I think you got some encouragement for us.
I do. Our weekly encouragement this week.
Let's go.
It is
Insert sound effect here.
it is to invest in your relationships, whether that's your
Okay.
marriage, your friendships, any relationships that have meaning and hold value to you, invest in them. My wife and I just recently invested for the first time in a marriage retreat that we've never done something like that before. We were so blessed by the experience, by the people we met, by the things that we studied, and we really took away from that short weekend just a lot that we can implement, that we can use to make our relationship flourish and make it everything that it was designed to be. So we would just encourage you, invest in your relationships, take time away from your busy schedules, step out of your comfort zone a little bit, and be purposeful and invest in relationships.
So we switched over platforms. We get to see all the really cool stats and overviews of where y'all are listening from. So we got some homies up in Germany. There's actually
Let's go.
two of you that are
Oh.
listening in Baden-Württemberg.
That's amazing.
So I don't know how to.
Thanks
if
for
that's-
listening.
I say it, but thanks.
Gutenberg.
Württemberg.
Yes.
Wonder what
So-
time of day they listen to
Württemberg.
us.
Super awesome. Glad you're here.
Good point.
We got South Australia.
Let's go.
We got
Yeah.
nine homies in South
Hey.
South
Australia.
Wales is one of those South Wales.
And
Yeah,
one
and
so-
New South Wales.
So we have 10,
Ooh, dang.
10 in South Wales.
go.
And then we have 5 in Victoria.
Sick.
sick.
which
I
is
love
lit.
you guys. Thanks for
Yeah,
listening.
Yeah.
shouts out to our
That's
overseas
real-
homies.
That's actually super sick.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's-
if you want to, ever work on something and you're in Australia or
yeah.
literally anywhere but here, hit us up.
hit us up.
Hit us in a DM and we'll fly somewhere and get out of here.
And then we'll
it's
check-
currently 10 degrees outside and snowing. So please.
Yep.
He's exaggerating. It's 32 degrees and not snowing.
Well, yesterday it was 10 degrees and snowing.
40 and snowing.
And it might be 0 degrees on the day that you're watching this, or it could be
That's true.
70. Who knows?
Facts.
So,
True.
anyways, shouts out to our international homies. Thank you
Yep.
so much for the support
Yeah.
and for listening. And hit us up, reach out. We'd love to chat. We
Yep.
love meeting people from different areas of the world. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things.
Heck yeah.
And we would love to collab in any way that we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and quick last little shouts out to the U.S. homies. We got 11 people chilling in Florida listening. Thank you guys so much.
Florida man.
We got a
Yeah.
North Carolina.
And see, I hope that's my
which
friend
probably
Ryan.
is Evan Rogers, honestly.
Oh,
nice.
Sick.
Well, and this is just on the last episode too, I think. Or the last couple because
Well,
this
'cause
is
we
not
just
all
moved
time.
platforms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
we-
Mhm.
So this is just a few stats from the recent revamp of. If you didn't know, we only used to have Austin and myself on the channel. We'd have some guests, but we added 2 more Glory Boys to
Let's
the pack,
go.
and so super
Boom.
excited about that. Ohio, we got 8 homies up in there. Indiana, 4
Well,
of y'all.
That's Jake Paul right there.
Ohio.
Thank you,
Ohio's
Jake.
Jake Paul.
Oh,
yeah,
Jake.
Shouts
Shout
out
out
Jake
Jake.
Paul for
He's been
watching
trying.
the podcast.
He's been calling me, blowing me up like, not, bro. And I'm like, dude, you're acting thirsty,
You
but
can't
it's fine.
be a guest on our podcast.
It's like,
I'm
dude,
sorry.
you're cool and all. Like, I get it, but
You do not have the
Indiana,
room.
we got 4 of you homies.
I hope that's my family.
We got 7 up in Texas, and then California we got 10. Oregon we got 7.
Oh,
And Nebraska, this is our home state. We got 25 of the homies up in Nebraska.
Let's go.
So yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be some more. We'll do continued shout outs, but thank you guys so much for listening. Seriously, it's a blessing. We love having y'all on the be a part of the Glory Boys fam. And yeah, what are we chatting about today?
Yeah. So speaking of people listening to the podcast, we're going to talk about consuming content and
Ooh.
what that looks like, and the dichotomy of consuming versus creating.
Yep.
How much of each should you be doing? What are our stats? We're gonna pull open our screen time here in a little bit and do a
Yikes.
little comparison on and see who and see that Ray spends the most time on social media out of any of us.
Facts.
We'll be able to confirm it
I'm gonna
here in
laugh
just a second.
when we're wrong and it's one of you three.
I mean, it's definitely
Okay.
not me. So
Challenge accepted.
We'll see, but
Yeah.
but yeah, just talking about consuming content, creating content, and what is a healthy balance of the two.
let's
Yeah.
do it.
Are we doing it?
Let's
We
start
pulling
with
our
screen
phones?
time.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
We're going to take out our phones. You can do this if you're following along at home. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching.
Only if you have an Apple phone, though.
You go into your
But-
settings.
But if you're driving, make sure you pull over.
Yep, that's right. You go into your settings and you scroll down to the second little section on the bottom says screen
Settings,
time.
Screen time. Found it.
And then you should, right there, your stats should just pop right up.
So Darren Clausen's iPhone, it says 7 hours and 35 minutes.
So click in to see all activity,
See all activity
and then go to week.
for the week.
Yeah.
Where's week? Oh,
So it is currently a Friday, just so you guys know when we are filming this. So
Yep.
we have had a full week's worth of data coming in. So
Yep.
um,
All right. What's everyone's daily average first and foremost?
my daily average is 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'll go last.
mine is 7 hours and 35 minutes.
Yes.
Mine is 3 hours and 56 minutes.
Mine's 4 hours and 59 minutes.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Told you.
That's sick.
Well, here's the thing, though. None of them of which
Excuses.
18 minutes is Instagram.
What's okay? All right.
Right.
What's everyone's Instagram? Mine's 0 because I don't have it.
Mine's
Same.
4 hours and 42
So
minutes.
all of your screen
here's the
time.
thing.
No, it's weird because it says most used and then it says TikTok at the top.
Yep.
I'm assuming this is total over
For a week.
the time of use though, because mine's really huge.
It's for the whole week.
Yeah, for
What do you
the
got
whole
on
week.
TikTok for the week?
the
Oh
whole
gosh.
week.
Oh gosh.
What is it?
Oh, no, I see what he's saying, though, because
Is
like
it over 10?
my most
Yeah.
used.
Is it over 12?
10 hours and 30 minutes.
Dang.
Right, okay,
Dang,
yeah.
dog.
That's an average of 2 hours a day on TikTok.
Which one surprises you guys?
Mine's mostly my messages because I hate texting, but I feel like my iMessages popped up all day long. So as I'm working, I'm responding either to our group chat, our other company's group chat,
Yeah.
or like responding to my wife, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if that just like soaks up time because the laptop's open sitting here or if
Yeah, I don't
that's-
know. I think this is just your phone, but
think
you
it-
still could be leaving. I definitely
If
have
you
had
don't
that
click
before where
out
I
of
had
it,
like
yeah.
6
Either
hours
way,
of something.
8
in a
hours
day. It
on
was because I
messages
just had
is-
it open.
Way too much. So I need to figure that out.
Yeah.
This is down like a good few hours from a few months ago for me. I mean, I cut out
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, and really have been trying to be on my phone as little as possible
Yeah. Same. That-
recently because I felt like it was so unhealthy for me for a long time,
Yeah.
depending on what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it recently changed for me too. That was drastically higher because I also don't have Instagram on my phone anymore, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, any of that. Sometimes I pop on like on desktop at the end of the day just
Yeah.
to see what's going on and stuff, but it certainly is not like taking me away from the kids anymore. It's not just like
Yeah.
habitually grabbing my phone
Right.
and clicking an app. That's why I love that we have an office phone. So shout out to you guys for letting us do that because
That
I
was the
can
whole-
post
Yeah. Purpose to
'cause
like,
we can post like to these channels and all that stuff on the office phone
yeah.
and not have to like sit there and get sucked into your own personal
Yes.
stuff. So
That's great.
I've
I'm glad
actually
that's
loved having
effective.
that. Yeah.
So let's talk about like healthy versus unhealthy consumption.
Yeah.
What types of content or what platforms cause you to feel worse after? Like,
Mhm.
what's a healthy balance? I know for me personally, like I consume a lot of educational content.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of what I consume is trying to learn something new.
Right.
Which I feel like I've gotten to a good place with. I definitely was in a different place for a long time where I was watching a lot of content that was strictly for entertainment and maybe wasn't necessarily as good for my brain as educational stuff. But yeah, what about you guys?
Something that I was just going to mention that I was surprised. So Mercari is 3 hours and 28 minutes. So instead of, this is kind of like my weaning off of like the nature of like scrolling and just mindlessly looking at things.
Yeah.
So for Instagram, because I would feel like crap looking at it, just all it seems like you either get let down or you see someone that's doing something better than you. And just naturally your humanness kicks in and you get super or it's something negative or a bad song that's like, or someone's like, why am I here on this earth? And it's like sad music. And like people literally, make sad boy content.
Yep.
And so I started looking at Mercari because I just like to thrift anyway. And it's almost like,
remind us what that is.
Mercari is like it's like a buyer seller app that you can sell. I sell a few things on there to like fund the habit of buying new vintage like t-shirts and stuff or video games. It just kind of depends on what pops up, but sometimes you can find a good deal.
Sure.
It's pretty inflated, but sometimes you can find a good deal. Like I bought that Harley Davidson shirt for like $12 and I bought that Dare shirt for like $14 and like little shirts that I want to add to my vintage collection so I can wear them and not have to buy them at like a hype beast store for like $50.
Right.
But I'll just scroll that instead if I'm that's like my mindless scrolling is like trying to find like a video like Sly Cooper trilogy. I was like looking for that yesterday.
Yeah.
And the one I found for $50 for all 3 games was sold and everyone else is like selling them for way more. And I was like, dang it, I missed it. And it's like sold 6 hours ago. And I'm like, no. So that's like my version of like scrolling. And you could say that's unhealthy too. Maybe I'm like always trying to look for a deal or something, but it's less harmful for me, I guess.
Right. Less of a emotional roller coaster as you're like scrolling through that type of stuff.
Right.
I know like Twitter was a huge, just like mindless scrolling for me.
Yeah.
And you get like you get sports, politics, like any of that. And like the weird part is like in the mindless scrolling, like subconsciously your brain's just looking for that one thing to make it worth it. Like the one thing that's super funny, the one thing you can share with someone.
Yeah.
But then like every time, like you're saying at the end, you swipe up, at least for me, and then you're just like so disappointed.
What was the point of that?
You spent so much time just doing that. And you're like, well, I didn't get anything out of that.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's what Austin, you were talking about is at what point is it like you're not getting anything from it? You're feeling worse off than you would have if you would have just overcome that natural response to pick it up and click in and start scrolling.
Yep.
So for me, it was Twitter. I did spend a lot of time on Instagram and all the others as well. Because it's funny uncovering the habit of like the pattern of your fingers on your phone. And like,
dude,
you close.
You know where that app is. You know what folder it's in.
It's strange. You close one app, and you're on to the next one before you have time to even consider what else is happening.
I've had like checks of like, wait, why am I still scrolling on this app? Like, I need to get out. I came on here to literally like post something or DM someone specifically about something that I needed to do, and then get back off of it, and then it just hooks you in, man.
Yeah, the algae. Dude, he'll get you.
Algorithm.
Dude. He knows us better than anybody.
Yeah, you literally go, I'm going to go post really quick for my company, just an innocent little quick post. And then it's like,
1 hour
before you stop
later.
scrolling, let me tell you about this brand new everything. And you're like, whoa, this is cool. And you're like, oh, dude, did you see this? This guy's got a brand new everything.
Yeah.
I want one of those, dude.
Exactly.
And then like 4 hours later, it's like you're down a road.
Deep in a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Dude, for me, since I'm the one that consumes the most content, I also don't watch TV though. So I don't watch Netflix. I don't watch anything, but YouTube is my TV.
Yeah.
I would say
so like you guys is probably way different in a way different scale of like,
Mm.
I'm only on my phone this much, but what else are you doing? You're probably on Netflix or something else. Or I don't really watch TV. I'm not really my thing.
Yeah.
And so my form of content that I consume is more YouTube. So more like real life stuff. Like I'll listen to some podcast just because it's on, and I'll put it in the background of something while I'm doing something.
Yep.
And I think for me now, like I see like a lot of the things that my wife watches, and it's like a bunch of like people's lifestyles and their vlogs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really about that. Like I used to be, like I used to watch that stuff all the time, and I was like, oh, I want to know what this guy's doing today.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, they're pointless to me.
Yeah.
And like a lot of like even TikTok, the bigger things is like gym stuff, or my wife will send me something about babies.
Sure.
Something like, hey, you should learn this because babies, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so like for me, it's more like purpose versus like just consuming just to consume.
Yeah. I think
because I do get in those rhythms of like just consuming to consume.
Yeah.
But I think it's those moments where I'm just like, cool, I'm just going to go do something.
Yeah. Right. It is important to say like entertainment in itself is not a bad thing.
No.
Like if you go on those apps to be entertained, that's fine. Like I think probably that is
it's healthy
main purpose.
To an extent.
I mean, like you need to get away a little bit.
Yeah.
And like there's always going to be like a better way, like go outside or something like that. So it's not like inherently catch you outside. Yeah. name the time and place. And it's not a bad thing in itself. But the idea is, what is the point where it becomes bad?
Yeah.
And I think that point, at least for me, is it taking time away from something else I care about much more than that? And am I not leaving with anything? Like you said, you watch a lot of educational stuff, like, and I think we'll get into that. One of the pros of consuming is learning.
Yep,
like that's a way to get inspired, and it's a way to learn things that you don't know how to do from people that are already really good at it.
Yep.
And so in that instance, it's really great, and you have to have a level of consumption in order to do that. But identifying where it gets unhealthy for you specifically, I think, is the key.
Yeah, it's definitely different for every person, and only you know what. Like Trev said, what's a healthy level. But I mean, when we started our company, it was super heavily influenced by the content creators that we were consuming their content all the time.
Yeah.
Peter I can't even say his name right now.
Peter McGriffin.
Peter McGriffin.
Not
Oh, you didn't mean to do that.
I totally forgot his name now.
Peter McKinnon.
Oh man, sorry, Pete.
This is no disrespect because
no, I
would love to
love
have him on the show,
dude. Peter McKinnon is one of those once in a generation creators. Like, there's no denying that.
Like
the way that he tells stories,
too.
Casey Neistat, same thing.
Yep.
MKBHD even in the way that he does tech reviews. That he was the guy that like inspired me to start creating videos. I bought a camera. I was trying to do all the setups as close as I could to what he was doing. Like he was a major inspiration for me.
Yeah.
Peter McKinnon was a huge inspiration for me in learning how to just shoot and see and obviously like get hung up on shooting a frick ton of slow-mo, which I no longer do and have kind of grown out of restricting myself to his style. But at first, like took so much inspiration from those people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you can almost like qualify. It's almost like you qualify what types of free or discounted work that you'll do. You almost have to qualify what kind of content that you're consuming also. Is this something that's just entertaining, that's for a brain break?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Those are necessary and healthy.
Yeah.
Is this something that's going to add value to my life in terms of practical skill or ability or learning something new? Or is this something that is going to encourage me and inspire me, build my self-image, all of those kinds of things?
100%.
Because there's a lot of content out there that's entertaining, but I think it is toxic to our mindset in certain ways, whether it's the type of humor or, you know, whatever it might be. And I'm probably a little bit more guarded on what I feed my mind than a lot of people. But I think it is important to some degree to guard your mind against things that could subconsciously, slowly, because I think it's a not obvious kind of process, but it just slowly kind of numbs you and I feel like it just makes you feel worse. Certain content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if we're getting to that point, it's even more like it's biblical at that point. Like if it takes you away from God and what God wants you to do in your life and your purpose in life, then you probably should not be consuming it anymore.
Yeah.
And like I think one thing that we think about as men that's very easy for us to be like, well, yeah, that's definitely going to take me away from God. Is anything that's like sexualized. Like it's really easy to fall into the trap on TikTok and Instagram. Like Instagram did a terrible job a couple years ago where like you could create a new account and it would just be a bunch of like half naked women.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, bro, I didn't even look at this at all. Like what? Like,
but you're a 27-year-old
Yeah,
male,
like-
and the algorithm knows
Yep,
that that's
exactly.
what most 27-year-old males are getting on those apps to see,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is really unfortunate. But
Trash.
it's a
Super
huge,
sad.
yeah. And even if you aren't or don't share our faith, you know, it's taking away from the time that you're spending on your business. It's taking
Right.
away from your attention, and your ability to create. And so that's
Yeah.
what I think, finding that balance of consuming content that's good for you, that inspires you, but knowing that threshold. Even for me, watching Peter McKinnon videos now, there's a level of comparison that I don't want to get into, and that can happen if I consume too much of anyone's content of like, it's almost becomes like, man, like I want to be them, or I want to have what they have. And then you start comparing yourself against them, and you had completely different journeys and time frames, and it's not fair at all to yourself. And I think it causes you to, question yourself. I've many a times questioned like, oh, we need to buy a freaking Red camera. Like, I don't know
Right.
why that's always a thing, but it's like, I watch other people's stuff, and it's like, okay, they say you can only shoot cool stuff on a Red. So yeah, don't get caught up as a creator in comparing yourself to other people. Watch people that inspire you. You just have to be able to recognize when it's getting unhealthy for you.
Yeah. So who are your guys' favorite creators? Who like have you watched in the past? Maybe you still watch them now, like every now and again. Like, do you have? It doesn't have to be video people, really, but just like the people you enjoyed or still enjoy, like consuming content from.
Honestly, I think the first creator on YouTube I ever really watched a lot of was Optic Gaming.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say my boy Casey Neistat.
No, Casey was when I started getting into film, like
Yeah.
wanting to shoot video. But before that, I was just into gaming, and I got pretty heavy into watching professional Call of Duty.
Sick.
And they, at that time, all the guys in the Optic House were like all putting out daily vlogs.
Okay.
Because it was just what they would fill their time with when they
Right.
weren't playing games
Yeah.
professionally. And so, yeah, that was like one of the first big channels I followed, and I
Yeah.
followed all the guys in the house as they were doing their own individual vlogs, and then they'd all like
Right.
be featured in each other's vlogs, and
Wow.
it was really cool. They're all like, grown up and married and have real lives now and don't do it anymore. But that was one of
What
my
a life
first.
to live.
I know, I like found myself, which at the time I was 21 and in college, so it's okay. But
Yeah.
still, like, there's a part of me that thinks that life would be so fun for like a few years
You
to
live
just like
vicariously.
live in a
through
house
them.
with 8 other dudes and play video games for a living and win
Yeah.
championships and win hundreds of thousands of dollars. But,
Right.
Honestly, that'd be
anyways.
the dream.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is.
But then you like, you hit 30 and you're like out of your prime in terms of reflex and like
Oh, sure.
finger motion. And then all these all these like 13-year-olds are then
18-year-olds,
smoking
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. Tell
it's
that
a
to
young man sport.
Dr. Lupo.
I mean,
He's
it's
like
true.
40.
Yeah.
Or something
I don't
like
know that he competes like
Oh, sure. I
like
guess,
Fortnite tournaments. Like
Yeah.
it's just a
He's more
bunch of
of a-
sweaty
he's more of a
14-year-olds.
Yeah, he's more of a streamer now.
Yeah.
He's streamed versus anything.
Yeah. Right. I don't know anything about gaming.
But I will say, watching professional gamers will make you a better gamer faster than anything else,
Oh yeah.
Really?
in my opinion. Yes, because you're watching things that it's taken them tens of thousands of hours to figure out in terms of movement and map IQ and
Oh.
playing to certain sides and strategy and all of that stuff that you just pick up on way faster because you don't have to go through the grind. You can just watch them and observe.
That's
Wow.
interesting.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I think it's the same way with anything else too, but
Wow.
to an extent.
Nice.
Who's somebody you consume now?
Oh,
Or do you consume anybody now?
I do, but it's usually specific on like I've been watching a lot of Sony FX6 videos, which
Yeah.
there aren't a ton really out there. There's like a couple people that like make a bunch of videos on the FX6. So
Mhm.
yeah, I really haven't been like. There's one guy named Kofi Aboya. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he has been shooting with an FX6 for the last year and a half
Nice.
and has like
Sick.
50 videos out on it. So,
Sick. That's cool.
but I'm usually going to learn something specific
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about the first person that I ever like really latched onto, like early YouTube days, because I remember that
Yeah.
like I don't know if like the day YouTube launched, but I remember like it becoming a thing when I was like 12 or something.
Mhm.
And so
Do you remember Equals3? Did you ever watch that guy?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. So early on, I guess I can't really remember what I watched.
Yeah.
It was probably more so just like funny videos that people posted. But
What about Dude Perfect?
Well,
weren't they like early YouTube days?
Kind of.
They're
yeah.
like 2013. They weren't that.
Oh, really?
They weren't that old.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of PewDiePie.
Dude, I can tell you.
Is one of the OGs.
Well, so I mean, I go through waves. Like I'm like diehard whoever I've consumed, but like I love Mr. Beast, but I don't watch all of his videos now. But I've literally binged like 30 of them in a row.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love like what he does and what he stands for and what he is adding into the YouTube world.
And into the world too.
Yeah, I mean, he's murdering it. Like even just from a business aspect, like for being like early 20s, like the dude is freaking murdering it. And so, and he adds a lot of value to the business space, even just like with what he shares in his like secrets. He doesn't really care about sharing, which is another reason why I like it. I do watch a lot of like educational stuff, like a lot of health stuff right now, like just like health, mind, body, workout stuff.
Liver King?
Yeah. not Liver King at all.
Oh my, Ray is a primal for sure.
Yeah, he for sure is. Maybe like during like when I used to watch like Ali A.
Same.
I liked him a lot. He was sick. Yeah. I just liked him for his personality. I literally didn't care about what he was doing.
Yep.
And then he got on the Pokemon Go channel, and that's when I watched more of his like daily vlog, which I kind of liked. And then fast forward into like the film world, Peter McKinnon obviously was amazing. I loved everything he did because I love coffee. I love tattoos and I love all the things. And he would do magic tricks a lot, like on his earlier channel. So that was always kind of fun to see how he would do that. And it was always in like creative ways. And I loved how he'd always enter the frame, like jump off a balcony, not a balcony, but like off like the things in his like loft apartment or something. He'd jump off and like land on the couch and be like, "What's up, guys?" Or he'd come in and then end scene, and then in the frame he would like grab the camera. Just different, like it was just fun to watch. It was like eye candy the whole time. And that's why I really loved it. And then there was like the Sam Colders where they were like always, it seemed like they were in Iceland permanently and like always flying drones through waterfalls. And so you're like, really this is cool. Stuff. Like you're always just doing sick stuff. Like I'll never forget the Ganja song when he's walking in the, he gets into the taxi and then that
little ding.
But remember the shot where he literally gets into the cab, shuts the door, and the transition into like an elevator or something. I don't know. It's just all that stuff was like super epic and really inspiring. But I don't really watch it anymore. Now I'm kind of back into the last like year and a half. I've been watching a lot of skateboard competitions, catching up on like who's crushing right now, who's not, because I'm kind of out of the loop. And then there's a skateboard podcast, but it's cool because they have all kinds of guests on there. I got on like a Bam Margera kick again because he's kind of back from Barcelona and not living there. And he's like sober and he's like skating again. Awesome. And I kind of jumped on that. But it's just like a really, really wide variety.
That's what I've found like when I really started to think about this and like who I watch and who I've watched over time. Yeah, the variety is just insane. Like some people I'll watch purely for entertainment, like their life has no reflection on my life. Like we couldn't possibly be doing the same things. And I'm just like enamored by either their personality or their group of friends or whatever. So mine has turned, most recently it's probably like surfing vlogs. I watch Jamie O'Brien a lot because I think he's entertaining. Which really is just him waking up. He lives on the North Shore of Oahu in Hawaii, and he wakes up and surfs, and they film it, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. But
sick.
I think it goes back to that like living vicariously through them type of thing, where it's like the content is sick, and you know there are some things to learn about. Like I've always wanted to do some level of like water sport filming or underwater filming. I think that's really sick. So there's like a small level to that. But like if I'm really honest with myself, it's just like I watch because I love surfing and I love his personality and I want to do that. So there's Lola Bean.
Hi, Lola.
If you're watching on YouTube, this is Lola Bean. She's cute.
Yeah, what about you, Ray?
For me, obviously, like YouTube is the only thing I consume. So you tell me about a Netflix show I know nothing about.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
But you tell me about YouTube. And it's funny because you brought up Peter McKinnon. And I didn't really watch Peter McKinnon as a lot of, like, you could say creators wanted to see his life, see why he created this shot or that shot. I think I was more of the Casey Neistat guy because Casey had the film IQ, but it wasn't like, I need to set up this to get the shot
It's
right.
a lot more raw.
Yeah, like it's a lot quick.
Yeah.
And I think that's more my style than anything of like, I like to watch YouTube for the rawness of who people are and not like these high level production stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm watching music videos for. Like, I love watching music videos and like breaking them down of like, oh, dude, how did they do that? Like, that's cool. But even like, even taking it away from YouTube, like on Instagram, somebody that I watch a lot or keep up to date with them is his name's Rory Kramer. He's Justin Bieber's photographer. And I just love looking at his stuff.
It's amazing.
Because it's like, I look at the shot that he gets and I go, wow, like, how did you get that?
Yeah.
Because that's really cool and that's really inspiring. And he does Post Malone every once in a while too. And I'm like, dude, that's sick. Like,
Posty.
Just imagine though being that close to someone that epic and just at any point, like in their most vulnerable moments, you have a front row seat to shoot it.
Yeah.
So like that's why it's so good because you get the look through a lens, pun intended, I guess, that you just don't get when they're at a photo shoot for GQ. They're on stage. It's like a whole different level of vulnerability. And I think that's what people are hungry for. And so then you attach yourself to it and you're like, oh my gosh, why is this shot so epic? And it's because it's literally like in Justin Bieber's personal home in the corner with his dog in sweats and like not decked out looking anything. Just, it's very raw. Or it's something creative because they went on a walk to get a coffee and they did something. Or it could be backstage and it is like on tour or whatever, but it's like this dope vulnerable moment backstage with Flash and like they did something funny and he's wearing sunglasses and you're like, it's just, you get like this whole different experience. I feel like when you get to like literally be next to the celebrity and like you feel like you're part of their life because of the type of photography he takes because it's so intimate, so vulnerable, which I think speaks to when you're consuming content, you like Rory Kramer because it feels like that. There's like this, we're looking for authenticity. We're drawn to vulnerability. We're drawn to realness. Casey Neistat, I love Casey Neistat. He's very real and authentic and he's just himself. There isn't like one thing about him when you watch this stuff, you're like, he's just doing it for show. He's like, no, he's just a homie that loves boosted boards.
I think that goes into like the reason, like I even think about like people that are in a different creative aspect of like, let's say they're a pastor or a doctor and they're looking at videos and consuming content. And I'm thinking about it in their lens of like, well, the reason why they consume the content is because they see the aspect of it and they get inspired by it, which I think that's all of us. Literally, we consume content to get inspired to create our own stuff or to even see that and be like, wow, they can do it, then I can do it too. And I think it's like a bigger scale that we're looking at too of like something that's really trendy right now on TikTok is like fashion, like people picking out outfits, wearing sneakers with some kind of pants, some kind of shirt. And I literally at my TikTok is just that because I consume that and I'm just like, wow, they are really good at what they're doing. And I wish I could do that. Maybe I get some creativity form, right? And like get to do my own style or something like that.
Yeah. I think the key part of that is I think consuming without creating makes you frustrated, at least in my personal experience. If I am only consuming 100% of the time and not creating, it makes me frustrated because again, you start to just feel that comparison or you start to feel inferior because you're not doing anything and you're not taking that inspiration and being productive with it and using it to create something new. And so I think there's a healthy balance of using the content that you're consuming to inspire you, not to copy, but to take inspiration from whatever it is, whether it's YouTube or nature or the Bible or your book. Like it could be literally anything that inspires you.
Yep.
But consuming the content, letting it inspire you to then go out and create something. Because I think as humans, like we're the only species on planet Earth, regardless of your beliefs, that can create something out of an imagination and visualize something and make it come to life in physical, tangible form. And I think that's what sets humans apart from every other race on the planet.
Yeah.
And I think that we're designed to create.
Yeah.
And so when we're just consuming, we're leaving out half of the equation. And I think creating, because you have something that you can share with the world.
Yeah.
That other people can consume and be inspired by. And that's what this podcast is all about, because we don't want to just create something that is just entertaining and that's it. We want something that's entertaining, but also adds value to you so that you can feel inspired to go out and create and just continue to inspire those around you. And it has a compounding effect.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I asked that question too, just about like your favorite creators, because kind of the overarching question, I guess, is then what does all of this consumption that we're doing, how does that affect our own creativity, right? Because you just mentioned it's half of our equation, our internal equation is to consume and then create.
Yeah.
So what effect is that, and what does that relationship look like? And oddly enough, I thought about this concept the first time from a Peter McKinnon video, because he just mentioned in passing, the more I consume, the harder it is for me to create.
Yeah.
And that really got me thinking. That moment was when, maybe it's not what he intended for himself, but that moment's when I like checked myself and significantly dropped my hours of watching YouTube.
Yeah, it's great.
For entertainment purposes.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, there's something to this. Like, it seems simple when you think about it, but that's the thing, you don't think about it when you're just consuming. And so when I actually took that moment, I was like, the more I consume, the more I just watch people create these dope things or have this dope life, like the less I create and the less easy it becomes for me. To create, because I'm boxing in all these ideas of, I've seen so many examples. I've seen it done this way. I've seen it done this way. It's so difficult to break out of that. Like there, all of a sudden there becomes no alternatives.
Right.
It's just like, there's only these ways to do it. And I can't possibly think of another way because I've seen everyone else do it.
Yeah.
And that like really shook me to the core about, the level to which I consume versus the level I just sit down and try and create by myself.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy too. Like you said it, like God created the world, and it's in every single one of us. So like even going back to what you just said, the more you consume, the less you want it to create.
Yeah.
Which is like thinking about it, the more you're consuming, the more you're letting yourself down even more, because you're like, oh, I already saw it happen. They already did it this way.
Yeah.
I can't do it now. Like they already stole my idea.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like, no. Like you could still do
why
it.
didn't I think of that?
Yeah, right.
That's always where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, dang it. I wish I would have had that idea for a video.
You're like, I totally had that idea.
And I didn't do it.
And didn't do it.
Or I didn't do it as well.
Right.
I think we're like all eager to be the first ones.
Yeah.
And that's why
Totally.
it's like, as content creators or as creators in general, like we are always looking for the next biggest thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what can we be known for? Because ultimately I think that's all it is.
Want to be
Yeah.
known.
All of us want to be known as creators and want to be respected and be individualized of like,
significance.
of like, oh, I remember, like even bringing up Casey Neistat or the Peter McKinnon, like they're one person and we all like look at them and we go, wow, that's where we need to get at, and it's like, it's crazy because the more you're consuming it, the more you're just putting yourself down of like, oh, well, I will never be like that person.
Right.
Yep.
But that's okay because God created you.
Right.
He created you to be the person that he called you to be.
Yeah.
And it's more so like, I think you consuming content, it's going to be healthy-ish, because you want to feel inspired. And whenever I need just a brain break, I consume content and I go, oh, wow, that was really good. And then I get back to whatever I was doing.
Sure.
And I think like, as we consume more content though, I think there's like an overload kind of like a computer, right? Like the more storage you put in it, the more the slower it's gonna run.
Yeah.
Like the
that's
keyboard's
good.
gonna.
That's true.
That's a word right there.
And it's just like the more you're consuming, the more your brain is like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like you have so much content in here, but you're not letting it out. You're not letting it breathe. Like, and I think that's literally us as we consume content.
Yeah, we shut
Like,
down.
Yeah, we need to have another step in it where we're like, cool, I just consumed everything, but what value did this bring to my life?
Yeah.
Or how can I change something else to make it so that I can create something to add value to somebody else?
Yeah.
We just got to ride.
That's a lot of good stuff.
We got to ride the balance of creating and consuming.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't consume, you won't be inspired to create.
Yeah.
If you do consume, or if you don't create, you're going to live in this place where like, I want to be seen, I want to be known, I want to be heard, but then you're not going to do anything.
Yep.
And then you're going to
Don't
be
take
that
any
guy
action.
just chilling in your mom's basement watching YouTube all day,
Exactly.
hoping and
Right.
wishing, and you can't hope and wish your way to success.
Exactly,
That's
right.
bro.
Yeah, we're made to create, so freaking create.
So
Yeah.
do it. Go
Yeah,
create
there was
something.
definitely like a point in my journey, and I think in our journey, where we both kind of simultaneously just really cut down on the amount that we were consuming. Because it's like you consume, you get prepared, you get educated, you get inspired.
Yeah.
Then you have to go do something with it.
Yes.
Or like Ray said, I think that's a great analogy. It's
Yeah.
like a spinning disk hard drive that as it fills up, as it writes all the data till it's only in the middle, it has to spin, and it slows way down when it
Yeah.
gets super full. And it's
Yeah.
like you have to, there's an inlet and an outlet that has to take place
Exactly.
for you to stay. Otherwise, you're just a swamp. You're receiving water, and it's just staying there and getting moldy and nasty
And that stuff
swampy.
stinks.
That nasty.
That's
And
just,
so-
that's just nasty.
So yeah. Oh, that's just nice.
That's just Loretta. That's just nasty.
There was a shift where I stopped really watching content that was just educating me, because I felt like we'd reached the level where
Yeah.
now, okay, I can take what I've learned and gotten inspired to and go
Yeah.
implement it. And I think practice and experience and just going out and trying stuff is how you break through that box that you kind of put yourself in of like
100%.
only having other people's ideas that you fed yourself.
Right.
And we're listening to a book right now called Psycho-Cybernetics, and it talks a lot about taking time to just be mentally and not have
sure.
the distractions. And I think that's
Yeah.
another really important part of it is if in every free moment that you have, if you're scrolling or consuming or feeding your mind something, your mind never has time to process it.
Yeah.
And so you have to give your brain that time to like chew through all of what you're consuming, because your brain subconsciously is very good at taking all of that information, taking the goals and the desires that you have. And if you give it time, your subconscious will actually process through that and bring you ideas that seem to come out of nowhere, is like
Sure.
what I'm
Yeah.
learning in this book. And I think that very much applies to this of you can consume, but you have to also build that time to just think or
Yeah.
just be or
Yeah.
go out in nature. And
Yeah, the book actually advises that, like, that's why you don't want to like just consume content or watch TV while you're falling asleep, because your brain then is just going to be thinking about that stuff.
Yeah.
So he talks about like actually planning your day beforehand and just like thinking through some of that stuff, because as you sleep, your brain actually starts to work on that stuff. Or maybe there's like a
Whoa.
big problem you're facing. Your brain is going to subconsciously be working as you're sleeping to fix the problem, which is like
Whoa.
it is like a computer.
it's
I mean,
sick.
That's
our brain is
unbelievable.
so sick.
Yeah.
And so you can be like, man, we're shooting podcasts tomorrow. Like, I'm really stressed out about the topic or this
Yeah.
or that.
Yeah.
You can be like thinking and like, okay, cool. And then go to sleep and literally wake up with fresh ideas.
right.
Like, which is just so bizarre to me.
So crazy.
But so another thing is when you get to a state of rest. So I was wondering about this. Every time I'm in church and I'm not on team or anything, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting down, just listening to a sermon,
Mhm.
but you're typically either just taking notes on your phone
Yep.
or you're just like listening
Yep.
Yeah.
or you have your notebook open. I'm always just shut down then. And so because I'm shut down, I'm not worrying about work. I'm not worrying about employees. I'm not worrying about finances or bills or my wife or anything. I'm
Right.
just literally sitting and
Yep.
enjoying a really great message.
Yep.
And because in those moments, almost every Sunday, I get a business idea. I have notes that I'm writing. I have a
Right.
thought for the podcast. I have a thought for one of our brands,
Yeah.
a thought for social media. And then I was like, well, am I just like ignoring what's going on? And it's like, no, actually, that's how we're designed. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we sit down and create that room to like shut off everything,
Yeah.
for some reason, when I'm at church, I shut off the outside world because I'm there to
Right.
be a part of it and to receive and to
Mhm.
and so I can create more of those moments outside of church. But now I'm aware that if I sit and I can, like, you can actually shut down the
Yeah.
other things so that
Yeah.
your brain can start working on some of those issues.
Yeah.
Because I gather all this stuff all week, then maybe our pastor says something really inspirational, and then it like brings the two things together, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right, it
that's
all
a great
clicks.
idea. And so I have like just so many random notes of like,
Yeah.
it could be a song idea, it could be a idea for a vlog, it could be like
Yeah.
a business idea I want to do with my wife in 5 years. You know,
Yep.
like who knows? But it's just cool when you start to know how your body and your brain works, that you can use it to your advantage so that you can actually, I don't know, create cool things.
Yeah.
And not feel so stuck in like the like never shutting down.
Right.
I think one important thing that you said and all that was in order to like get in that creation mindset, you have to let your body rest, let your brain rest.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the second thing you said was you wrote it down.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times when an idea comes in our head,
Yeah.
we don't write it down.
Yeah.
We just let it go by, and we're like, oh, I'll remember it tomorrow. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then you get tomorrow and you just said it, your brain refreshes and you're learning something different.
Yeah.
And now you forgot what the idea was.
Yeah.
Yep.
And obviously like God will bring it back to you and he'll let you remember it. But if you could write it down, if you would have wrote it down,
Yeah.
you would have been able to see it again and you would have been like, oh, I know what I was talking about now.
Yep.
And it's more so like, I think the consuming versus creation is very important. And it's because you have to consume enough to be able to create.
Yeah.
Because you can't really, you can create without consuming,
Mhm.
but it's really hard, I think, in those situations, especially now when we have, technology and we see it everywhere. Everything is everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think to that point, though, is if you haven't created anything in a long time and you're like, but this isn't great for my business. Like, I don't really have time to do a project or do a passion project
Yeah.
or do something else that's not going to involve money.
Right.
I think you taking a day to letting your brain rest
Mm-hmm.
and letting your creativity flow,
Yep.
even if the idea or the project that you're working on or the clothing thing that you're doing is going to flop, at least you know that you did it already. And there's no like what if things in the back of your head of
Yeah.
like, well, what if I would have done this? No, you already
Right.
did it.
You gave yourself a chance.
Yeah, so now you can continue on and keep moving forward. Because even the other day, I was thinking about it right now, and we did like a little short film, and literally it just came up out of nowhere.
Out of
because
nowhere,
we were
dude.
playing with,
Short film, quote unquote.
yeah, but it was like a stupid video, right?
Yeah.
But it like literally it let me just release a lot of, I want to say endorphins, but that sounds wrong. But it let me
That's not wrong.
it let me release a lot of endorphins, and I was like, wow, like I still have these creative juices in me. I just didn't see it for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
And like even like the simple like we were building off of each other,
Yeah.
and it was like great. Like I was like, cool, this is dope. We should do
Yeah.
this way more
It
often.
was a fun little project to overtake. And I think just understanding that your consumption, just to kind of have a wrap up, understanding your consumption is just a competition for your brain space, for your mental space.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to control how much you're consuming, control the manner in which you're consuming,
Yeah.
control why you're consuming, so that you can have your creative outlet and your creativity can be your own original ideas. And you don't have to disqualify yourself thinking, I don't know how many years I went through my life thinking I was not a creative person because I never gave myself a chance to be creative. I was just watching other people be creative, and that occupied all my mental space. And so then I didn't have an original idea at all,
Yeah.
ever.
Which is
And-
fine starting out.
For sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong in
Right.
copying and trying what other people have already done and
Yeah.
learning through that. But yeah, there's definitely a period where you kind of graduate from that in a way. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now it's time to take what I've learned and all of this
Mm-hmm.
material that my sponge mind has sucked up over the last months or years or whatever.
Yeah.
Now it's time to take that knowledge and build that time in to have
Yeah.
critical thinking time where you're not thinking about anything else, you're not distracted,
Yeah.
and really being able to then create something that is original
Right.
to an extent. I
Yeah,
guess.
it can be inherently like the same thing, topic, idea, same video as someone else, but you have to put your own original spin on it. It's got to be different in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So it's just unlocking that, like that part of your brain that says, how can I do this idea that maybe is the same as someone else? It's the same video concept as someone else, or it's the same piece of art, or it's the same sounding music. It's the same genre of whatever industry you're in. But how can you make it original within that piece and within that creation? I think that's what we're all really aiming for, and that's what we're after.
Totally.
So if you're watching this and that's you're in the boat where you're consuming way too much content, let us give you permission to delete Instagram, to stop watching YouTube, to unsubscribe from your favorite creator if it's causing you to feel inferior or to try to just live vicariously through them.
Yep.
If it's detracting from you going out and creating, cut it off and go out and make something, because you'll learn, you'll learn more, and then you'll be able to come back and watch different content because you're at a different stage and you've then practiced and mastered a new level of your craft.
That's great.
And if you're in the other camp where you feel like you don't consume any content, we've got 64 more episodes of this podcast that you can check out if you want to. Just hit the subscribe button and go ahead and scroll down, and you can keep on consuming our content.
Yeah.
And make sure you go ahead and let your mind rest.
Yeah.
Write it down, and then go out there and create. Like, just create.
Yeah.
Something.
Just get started and just do it right away.
Yeah.
Whether it be something bigger or something small, like, do it, because it'll be good for your brain. It'll be good for you, and it'll get you starting to just start creating again, and you'll feel even more inspired.
Yeah, the world needs to see your creations and get inspired by
Facts.
They need
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
them. Don't hold out on us.
Come on.
There ain't no other you.
That's
Let's
right.
see it.